may continue for now. That ruling is an extension on the court's previous decision to pause a trade court's order blocking those tariffs. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more, Mr. Armen Kurdian, U.S. Navy captain retired, political strategist, and I might add, now state Senate candidate in the amazing state of California. Armen, good to see you, my friend.
Hey, Guy. Nice to see you again.
I got to tell you, before we jump into the national level, what is it that really geared you to want to throw your hat in the ring with regard to state politics, sir?
Now, when I was in the Navy, I had some program management positions, other positions in leadership where I was leading folks. I really got a kick out of articulating a vision, finding hard problems, the really big rocks, going out and pulling people together and solving them. It was really, really enjoyable and very, very motivating. It was what got me up in the morning. I'm a husband, I'm a dad, I got a regular job. I'm a veteran and I love my community. We're not going to be leaving California anytime soon. We have family here. My wife is from here. She loves the state and everything it has to offer. And I believe that if you run from a fight, the fight is going to run to you. And I think there's a lot of good qualities and a lot of good people in California that aren't simply being heard right now up in Sacramento. And I'm willing to do my part to help fight for them.
Well, Mr. Kurdian, I'll say to you, best of luck. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, let's jump into it. By the way, yet again, we are expecting D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser to take part in a ribbon cutting, and that's going to happen any minute now. Should that happen, we're going to take that live right here on the Live Zone. Let's start with the protest out in L.A. Attorney General Pam Bondi said the Trump administration, quote, is not scared to go further. She's expanding its legal authority to deploy troops in Los Angeles. President Trump also acknowledged that he feels more emboldened, if you will, during his second term to take such action. Your take on all of this?
We've seen what's happened when the federal government isn't moving fast enough or governors don't move fast enough to bring in additional law enforcement or National Guard to protect their city. These National Guard troops are there to protect federal buildings. We saw the constant attacks against the federal buildings in Portland, also in Seattle. It basically eases the burden on the police so that they can actually perform those law enforcement actions that are actually necessary. What we're seeing are directed attacks against law enforcement, not simply protest. Peaceful protest is a hallmark of our country, and that needs to be protected at all costs. But what we're seeing are not peaceful. So the Attorney General and the President need to do what they need to, despite the efforts of the governor to stand in their way of bringing order back to Los Angeles and its good citizens.
Well, staying in that realm, we know yesterday inside the Oval Office, President Trump said he spoke with Governor Newsom 1 day ago. However, Newsom then fired back, stating, well, Mr. President, that's not necessarily the case. He also stated, if the president can't remember who he spoke with, how can he be competent enough, in essence, to run a country? The president then taking to social media, showing his call log to which he says he did speak with Newsom. In this case, it's he said, he said. What do you say?
I say that when Governor Newsom is more concerned about what particular day he spoke to the president vice protecting his state, then that's a day, another notch showing how Governor Newsom is really failing the state. He fought the efforts for Prop 36, which basically brought back law enforcement to shoplifting. Until very recently, he was against breaking up homeless encampments. We've seen how a lot of those encampments have endangered public safety. A lot of the fires that we've seen in the state, more than half, at least here in San Diego County, were started from homeless encampments as well, where a lot of drug dealing is essentially done. And he also fought against efforts which would have, like, for example, he supports Housing First, which prevents a lot of private and public funding for a lot of these privately funded organizations that support homelessness, which gets these people off the streets where they can no longer be victims of crimes that we've seen from statistics here in San Diego County. So Governor Newsom needs to be a lot more focused on protecting his people and moving his state forward than attacking the presidency.
We'll take the topic to overseas. In this case, the United States and China have agreed on framework for a trade truce. Officials on both sides will now take their proposals back to their leaders for approval. This, yet again, is indeed a major victory for Trump, is it not?
It really is going to depend on what this truce is. My understanding is right now it might simply be going back to the status quo from before when a lot of these tariffs went out all over the world. There may be a framework additionally going forward. When it comes to rare earth materials, the United States has put a lot of barriers in its own way in terms of processing these materials and these elements. It's not that we don't have them here in this country. It's just that the environmental rules, environmental laws, and a lot of lawsuits prevent us from actually doing the kind of work that needs to be, which is why we're so dependent on China, as well as a lot of American manufacturers relying very heavily on manufacturing in China to bring their goods into the United States. So it's very important that the United States is serious with China. My biggest issue with China is theft of intellectual property and taking a lot of our very sensitive plans, building high-end fifth generation military aircraft, and putting our technology into their subs and their ships. That to me is a much greater issue than simple tariff and trade cheating. There is a long road to go with China. We've left ourselves in a very vulnerable position at this time. So I think Donald Trump has given the best effort of any president of the last 25 years. But even for me, I don't even know that that's good enough.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this, Mr. Kurdian, you come across as a very stand-up guy, so I doubted that you have said something to someone that you want to take back. Not the case for me. That's happened to me. In the case, it's also happened for Mr. Elon Musk. He now stating that he regrets some of the social media posts about Trump after their fallout. Musk said on X that they went too far. Trump, meanwhile, told NBC News that there would be unspecified serious consequences for Musk if he were to financially back any Democrat candidates who oppose the government's sweeping budget bill. What say you, sir?
Well, Guy, I like doing my research and studying issues very, very carefully. And after many millions of dollars and years of research, I found out that getting angry on social media is not a good way to change somebody's mind. So I think both of these guys are just going to be happy for this to get behind them. I think Trump handled it the right way. I think everybody in the White House was very, very surprised by Elon Musk's rhetoric and words. Hopefully they can repair their relationship. I think they will, kind of going forward. Musk obviously was very, very concerned about a lot of the Doge cuts and the waste that he found that did not go into the bill. So I think he frankly had some correct points. He just didn't communicate them all. But I think they're going to smooth this over. It's better for both of them that this relationship get healed up, and I expect that it'll continue on the upswing, and perhaps we'll see them together at some point in the near future again.
Yeah, which takes me back to that famous saying, "Can't we all get along?" Hopefully for the president and Elon Musk, maybe that will very well be the case. We'll end with this, and that is the Federal Appeals Court to hear arguments in Trump's long-shot effort to fight hush money conviction. Well, apparently is now moving forward in a sense. The president is now attempting to move that case to federal court, where he is betting he'll have an easier shot, arguing that the Supreme Court's immunity decision in July will help him overturn that conviction. You think that's going to happen?
I really don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but from a PR and a political standpoint, they're doing what they need to. Frankly, I'm surprised that perhaps he might have had better chance of eliminating or getting this thing thrown out on constitutional grounds, violating his constitutional rights in terms of excessive punishment, right to due process, and a lot of these other things, speedy trial, considering how long it took for this to come to a court after it was first brought to light back in 2017. This novel idea of taking misdemeanors and turning them into a felony after the misdemeanors have expired. But I guess his lawyers know what they're actually doing. Ultimately, I think this does need to go away because this punishment was exceptionally excessive. You see this happen all over the country, or maybe not quite all over the country. You see this happen in the past. I don't think anybody's treated quite as viciously or as seriously as the president was. It was nakedly political in its manner. But of course, district attorneys are elected by their people, so they are by their nature political individuals. We'll see what actually happens. I hope this goes away. It needs to go away because, frankly, if they can do this to Trump, then perhaps you might see Republicans do this to a Democrat presidential nominee sometime in the future. That is very, very unhealthy for our republic when the justice system is weaponized against senior political candidates.
Yet again, we have been speaking with Mr. Armen Kurdian, U.S. Navy captain retired, and now state Senate candidate for the state of California. Always good to see you, sir. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Happy Wednesday, Guy.
Happy Wednesday to you. All right, guys, we're going to take it to the nation's capital, if you will. In this case, lawmakers marking 13 years of DACA being in existence. Let's take a listen in.
Justice and humanity prevail. Now, more than ever, We must rise together to defend immigrant youth, to protect our families, and to demand a